I think so. So like, just like since I'm pretty much done with the game now, like I'll just kind of give my thoughts. Like Celeste, like it took a little bit for me to really get into the game, but like once I got like pretty much towards like the layer levels, like it really started being good and just like it. There's definitely like, quite a bit of times like where I thought it was kind of difficult to keep on going based on the difficulty of some of the levels, but like I'm kind of glad that I was able to stick it up because like even though the difficulty of the B and C sides as well as Chapter 9 was extremely difficult quite a bit of times. Like it was still a lot of fun because like there's like a lot of like detail that goes into creating like difficult levels like that, and just because it requires like so much testing and just like so much like precise movement and platforming that needs to be done. And as far as like making some difficult levels myself, like I definitely have a lot of respect for something like that, and it just like whenever like when you have something that can go as fast paced as like Celeste or like the Messenger can, like it just feels so fun and addicting to play that I guess that's part of the reason why I just didn't enjoy like the first few levels is just because it just like felt just kind of slow paced like compared to like what the game like is overall meant to be played once you do have all that information in hand. But once I got to like ever since like chapter 6, a little bit of chapter 7, and even like chapter 9, like I just loved the game a lot more than I thought I would like early on. Just like the story and the gameplay just got a lot better as time went on. And I definitely like appreciate the game for what it is more so than I originally thought I would. Any
Yeah,
comments,
because
Kyle?
like yeah, a few yes. Like I think well, the main thing is that it might not have been what you were expecting at the start because, like, first of all, I've been talking up this game for a very long time now, and for the earlier levels to be so pretty much really simple actually was probably a surprise. But I understand why it was that way. It's because they wanted to make the game somewhat accessible. I mean, it certainly is not a good first 2D platformer. It should definitely not be your first platforming game, but it still very well could be because like they try and ease you into the game, and that's why so at first you may have been surprised by how simple it was, and also the story. I intentionally did not talk about the story because I wanted that to just surprise you with how dense it gets later. Because that was one of the biggest draws for me was I'm playing this game. I'm like, wow, this is a pretty well made platformer. Yeah, not much to it though, basic indie game. And then I found that it was a game that was all about this girl's inner demons and mental health challenges, and that surprise that the game was so much more than it seemed to be was what's really got me to respect it. So I didn't talk about it that much.
Yeah, I just
But
really appreciated just like how like in depth like both Madeline was, and just kind of like the development between Madeline and Battleline as well. And it's so funny that we didn't even know that the character was called Battleline until
yeah,
we
I'm still mad about that.
until we saw it on both Steam and Fangamer.
But yeah, I think that yeah, the earlier chapters of Celeste were. I understand why you felt that way, why it wasn't quite what you expected, because it started out not too challenging and a little bit slow, and there was absolutely no story to be seen yet. But setting too high expectations, thinking the game would be more of a challenge than it was, because you play stupidly challenging games, and I can imagine you wondering. You can imagine you wondering, okay, where does this get better? But I understand it though. I understand like why you felt that way, but I personally think that it's good that they made the game so it eases you into it a bit more. So
I guess like
it,
part of it is just because like
basically you find that a problem, but I don't.
I guess part of it is just because like as far as like while the gameplay was still kind of like it wasn't kind of lacking until like you got to a certain point, like I kind of wish like the story kind of started like happening a little bit like while the gameplay like wasn't what it was supposed to be until then, because like it just like it felt like there was like a few levels of just nothing really happening for a while, both in terms of like story and gameplay. So it's just kind of this is a level, go through it.
Yeah, and also Celestial Resort is also a very kind of grindy level. especially the bit where you got to clean up all the rooms, like that part just I understand that part just does feel like a roadblock. It's like, oh come on, like, all right, I guess I got to do all this now. I guess I get that, but you're right about like the level design and how much it makes you think with the very limited mechanics that are there and how much it pushes them and makes really like think about how to use the physics and how to use the moves. It's yeah, I can't praise enough just how well crafted the actual platforming levels are. In addition to how good the story gets a little bit later. Yeah, I basically I disagree with how the first couple hours were disappointing for you. I didn't find them that way, but I get why you mean that. The rest though, I totally agree. Just great game. I during my Shantae review, it was one of the 3 indie games that I played that I gave perfect tens to, and there's a reason for it. I legitimately cannot think of any way to improve it. I can't.
Because like for so long I've just been hearing just so much praise about how this game like, and I've never seen like any videos or streams about it, and just like a lot of just like the streaming and like Twitch community, like I've just been hearing so much good things about Celeste, and just I've always been just so curious about it just because of how good it was, kind of similar to how I started Undertale. Like I just kind of I was kind of curious about it and wanted to give it a try, and like it was just bugging me that
See,
like I just never got onto it, and like I couldn't watch any streams or videos until I actually like played it myself. So I just wanted to go through it now and kind of experience it for myself, just so that I could like actually watch others. Like,
and ultimately, I think that when people really build up a game that much, that really can only hurt it. Because in hindsight, I'm lucky that I just discovered Celeste because a friend of mine had it one day, and I played it at his house, and I liked it. And I'm like, oh, I should play more of this. And then after I finished the game, then I heard more talk about how great it was, so I didn't have that overhype to bog it down. Whereas for me, that game that was disappointing because of all the hype that it didn't live up to, for me that was a hat in time, and that might be why I was a bit unfair with that game, is because I just it couldn't live up to what I was imagining from what everybody else was saying. But so yeah, I think that really like all those expectations and build up can really bias your view on a game. It really does. So I guess that for you it was Celeste, where like you just heard endless things about it, and then just naturally wasn't quite what you expected. And for me, it was Hat in Time. So I get that.
I don't think really like killed it just for like the first couple levels, like where it seemed like not much was happening. But I will like this is just like my experience alone, but like I will definitely say that like I just didn't really get the full experience of the game until I like actually did play like the B and C sides as well as Chapter 9, like because it just doesn't really like open up as much as it does like until you like play those versions of the levels as well. But like excluding the story, of course, because the story was
Right.
fantastic as well.
All right. I think we're just kind of talking in circles now. I just keep on
Yeah,
repeating the things we've been saying, and
yeah.
Dan has been patiently silent for like 10 minutes now. Let's so basically, all in all, you liked it.
hmm
All right, that's good.
And yeah, sorry, Dan. Like we've been going on for a while. Like this is just kind of like a game of just kind of like discovery for me. Like just seeing like what I thought of like the game like after just like a couple of years of night like of waiting to play it. So